This is video 8, SBATs, School-Based Apprenticeships and Traineeships. Okay, so SBATs come under the New South Wales government's, the Australian government's Learn to Work programs. So what is an SBAT? It's a school-based apprenticeship or a traineeship, and it's where students combine paid work with attending school, completing training in a particular industry, and getting those qualifications. So if a student wants to do an SBAT, they'll get both the national qualification for that, so a Certificate 2 in construction, a Certificate 3 in retail, a Certificate 3 in carpentry and joinery, but they'll also get that subject as units counting towards your HSC. Depending on the particular SBAT that you're doing, that can be worth 2 units, like most courses are. But if it's, say, a trade qualification and the apprenticeship, it could be worth anything up to 5 units of your HSC. Some SBAT subjects can count towards an ATAR. The SBATs are official apprenticeships and traineeships, so students and their parents and the school will be signing contracts that are lodged with state training services. Students will attend paid work 1 day a week during the school week, and they will then do extra days during the school holidays and school holiday periods to make up the paid work component of the school-based traineeship or apprenticeship. Okay, so things to consider. If this is sounding like something you might be interested in, you need to be aware that to be an SBAT, you need to be a motivated person who wants to get a head start on their career now, but that you are able to regulate getting all that work done. So it's very important to think about these questions when you're considering whether or not to do an SBAT. So things like, is this a career I'm actually interested in? Can I handle the school work and training components along with my normal family commitments and community commitments? Do you have a support network who can help you through this? Can you make the travel arrangements to get yourself to work? And if the vet course it's linked with it is not offered at Mulwaree High School and you have to go to TAFE or through another training provider, do you have the travel arrangements to get there and back? Can you keep on top of the work you will miss from lessons every week? So you will be expected, for the day that you have your paid work employment, you'll be expected to catch up on the work you had in the other lessons you had timetabled on that day, so that you still meet the requirements for those courses, for the preliminary and HSC courses. And in particular, if the training component of the SBAT happens to be a self-paced or an online learning course, do you have the dedication to complete the learning and assessments on your own over a sustained period of time? Now, this is a really useful graphic for anyone considering doing an online course as part of the Year 11 and 12 studies. It's been put together by the Careers Advisors Association of New South Wales and ACT, and it's got some really good points to consider if you are doing an SBAT or maybe Aurora or Distance Ed where the training is an online course. Go through these points, have a chat with your family about them, have a chat to people you trust about that, and see, is that going to be something that you can do, or perhaps maybe it's not right for you at this time. It's a really useful resource to use. Okay, so what's the difference between a school-based traineeship and a school-based apprenticeship? So, a school-based trainee, you'll complete a Certificate 2 or a Certificate 3 qualification by the end of the HSC year. You'll undertake a minimum of 100 days paid work over those 2 years. Now, there's an asterisk there because some particular SBATs have a different day requirement. For example, the construction traineeship, they require 144 days of paid work over those 2 years. You must be able to, they will attend training each week with school, so if it's a vet course offered by school, or if it's not offered by school, it'll be through TAFE New South Wales or a private training provider, and it will finish at the end of the HSC year. A school-based apprentice will complete stage 1 of a Certificate 3 trade qualification by the end of the HSC year. They'll undertake the minimum 100 days paid work over 2 years, unless it is a particular SBAT that requires more days, like construction did. You will attend training each week with New South Wales or a private community training provider. None of these, the school-based apprenticeships, they are not courses delivered by schools. It is through TAFE, CIT, or the particular training organisation with that industry. And you will continue to work with that employer after year 12 to complete the rest of the apprenticeship, which could be another 2 or 3 years. So the main difference between a trainee and an apprenticeship is the level of qualification that you get, but with a school-based apprenticeship, you are signing up to continue to work with that employer after school has finished. So here we have our list of the school-based traineeships. So these are the 2-year commitment, and you can see them up on the screen there. There's a really broad range of industries and jobs you can do a school-based traineeship in. And here are the school-based apprenticeships. These are the 4 or 5 year commitments where you're going to keep going after you leave school. And again, you can see there is a wide range of industries to do those school-based apprenticeships in. All right, so if an SBAT for you, this is what we need to do. You need to be aware that it is the student's responsibility to find potential employers for an SBAT. Now, around here in Goulburn, there are some employers and businesses who regularly take on school-based apprenticeships and trainees. Depending on who you contact, you might be the first SBAT with that employer because it's not something they've done before, not something they've heard about before. That's okay. If you want to do that, then I recommend that you start the process for that now. The period after your exams in term 4 is a good time to start that paid work component where you could do a 2 or 3 or 4 week block and knock over some of those 100 days, or if you're doing a course that requires 144 days of paid employment, you can start knocking those over, and then the work that you continue into the Christmas holidays, those work days are going to count towards your SBAT. The deadline to start an SBAT is the end of term 1 in year 11, and that's because after that it's just too difficult to be able to fit those 1 day a week work days into the school year, plus the days you're going to need to do and holidays and weekends in order to make up that 100 day or 144 day requirement for work days. To start that off, there is some paperwork. So see the careers advisor. You need to get a New South Wales application to establish an SBAT form. Once you bring that in, then the careers advisor does the employer questionnaire and checklist where they contact the employer and just check that everything is safe there, that they're covered by insurance, that they understand what an SBAT is, and then that's sent off, and the regional SBAT coordinator will set up the training plan. We'll find out whether you'll be doing it through TAFE, which is the training provider that's going to go through that. So if you're interested in that, please go and see the careers officer up in the careers office.